Hello, it has been a minute and I just figured it is Sunday, it's a good day to do a video, and I am doing a topic that I just think is fun, and I'm going to talk about how I planned my wedding and kind of just like the process of it, how I did it on a budget, all of that, because I just want to create content that people are interested in and that could be helpful, and I think that this video could be both. I know of at least a couple people getting married this summer, and so maybe this will be helpful for you or just reference back in the future. I love watching videos like this of just seeing how different people did different things, what was important to them versus what was not important to them. But I just thought it would be fun. So we will just get right into it, how I planned my dream wedding on a budget. So I watched several different videos from different people. My favorite person to watch with wedding planning stuff, her name is Jamie Wolfer on YouTube, and she is a professional wedding planner and coordinator. She has tons of videos on all different topics that are really helpful, some of which you maybe wouldn't even think to be asking these questions. And so I just felt that it was really helpful, and all of her videos are titled with really helpful things to just know exactly like the ones that you want to watch. So I loved that resource, and if you are interested in checking that out, let me know. I can send you her link, because I just thought that they were really fun videos and they were very helpful when making decisions about different wedding stuff. So when we got engaged, I basically had 4 months to plan the wedding based on when we wanted to get married. We were wanting like either spring or fall, and we decided on fall when we got engaged, and so that gave me 4 months. And I would say like 4 months was enough time. I would not suggest less time than that, however, because it was kind of a squeeze to get it all done, and depending on, you know, how you work, you might need more time or less time might be fine. But for me, I felt like it was really a good chunk. But less time would have been hard. So part of that timing was also availability of venue. Since I was like 12 years old, decided I wanted to get married at Camp Bighorn because that is my favorite place on earth. And so that was really important to me. Now, with it being fall, that was like their prime retreat season, and like every weekend was booked up until it was like fall and gonna be too cold because I wanted an outside wedding. So that was really interesting. I worked with one of my friends who works there, and you know, we were going back about just different possible dates and stuff and when they were booked and when they were open, and we ended up getting a date that was on a Monday, which was obviously not like what I was originally going for, but it is cheaper to get married on a Monday. Venues are way cheaper on weekdays than weekends, so I ended up saving like a lot of money that way. And you know, it didn't really matter to me. All of the really, really important people that we were like, you have to be there, they were able to make it, so we just went with it, and it was fine. But it was kind of funny to get married on a Monday. And let me see. I have so many notes because I didn't want to miss anything. I thought about this for a long time. I'll probably still miss stuff and be like, oh, I wish I had talked about that, but hopefully this will help me. So we also cut a lot of traditional things out of our wedding that I just want to like reiterate. Just because it's tradition and other people do it does not mean you have to do it. Like, don't feel pressured to do things just because that's how other people have done it. So we cut out, like, we didn't have a cake for our wedding. We got donuts instead because we really like donuts. We didn't really want to do the whole cake cutting ceremony. Like, we just didn't care. Like, it wasn't important to us. So we did donuts instead. And I'm sure it was cheaper. It definitely, buying donuts for, you know, over 100 people is still, it adds up, but we got a good deal with a local place here that makes donuts, and it was really fun. My grandpa made us a donut board so we could like stick them all on there, and it was like part of our decoration as well. We did not throw the bouquet because I wanted to keep my bouquet, and I'll talk more about flowers later. We didn't do the like son and mother and father-daughter dances. The dance portion was important to us, but we did like our couples dance together, and then we just opened it up because we just wanted everyone to be able to dance. We didn't do the garter toss thing because gross and uncomfortable and all the things. Didn't do that. If you want to do that, that's fine, but that was just my opinion on it. We did not do guest party favors because that is something that, one, no one expects anymore. Like, don't feel pressured to do it. Like, people don't expect a party favor, at least where we're from. And it, like, that can easily be literally like hundreds of dollars just for something really small for each guest or each family. So we were like, not even gonna open that door. Hair and makeup, we did not hire anyone to do. So my sister-in-law did my makeup, and we did like a practice run beforehand, like a couple weeks before, so we kind of could get at least like what we wanted, and she took some notes, and so we could just kind of easily know what to do that day and already had it figured out ahead of time. She did a great job. And then my bridesmaids also did my hair. So those were things that a lot of people spend money on, and I really, really considered doing like at least a hair person. I couldn't find anyone who was available to do hair, like professionals. But then my sister-in-laws kind of played around with it, and we kind of had an idea, and I wanted it mostly down anyway, so we're like, we'll just figure it out the day of, and it did end up working out. I had like some different kind of like strings of different just fun stuff that they kind of wove around in my hair, and so it ended up being really good. And then I made a lot of my decorations, and that saved us a lot of money. Now, I am creative and I enjoy it, and so for me that was like a no-brainer. I know for some people that can be like just overwhelming, and if that's not like your forte, but it did end up saving us a lot of money because I made most of our decorations, and I tried to shop some sales at like Joann's and Michael's and different places like that. And then we also, another thing that saved us money was for music. We didn't like hire anyone to do music. I had some friends that I asked, hey, could you guys put together a playlist for me, because that's like just, they're good at that. And so they did. And then Jesse and I went through and had them add a couple songs and take some off. But that saved us a lot of time. And then I just had one of my friends kind of DJ, you know, he just kind of picked the different songs from the playlist throughout and managed that for the dancing portion. And that was really good and an easy thing to cut out that is often like hundreds of dollars if you want to hire someone. So those were kind of some of the things that we cut for cost and time purposes that were like not super important to us, if that makes sense. So we ended up having about 115 people come to the wedding, or at least that's how many RSVP'd. I think that that's a pretty accurate representation of how many people were there, but I didn't like stop to count, obviously. So I don't know, but about 115. We were kind of nervous because I think we both have a lot of family. And so I think had like absolutely every single person come that we invited, it was like around 200. But obviously we knew a lot of people wouldn't be able to make it. And so you can kind of account for that as well. But we had about 115 people. Now, another thing that was not like so important to me was food. Food was really hard because you're feeding a lot of people. You want it to be good food. But like for me, I was like, I just don't like really care about the food. We also were going to like maybe have it at a time of day that didn't fall on a meal so that we wouldn't have to do food. But we wanted kind of, you know, we wanted a long dance party. We wanted like different things. And we were like, we're just going to have to feed people. And so we just came to terms with that and figured it out. So we didn't cater. We had thought about it. There's not a lot of options around here, but we did look into some catering. What we ended up doing was like build your own sandwich sliders. And so we got like huge, like fresh meat and cheese trays from a local place here, and then picked up like, you know, vegetables and buns and condiments and stuff, and just had like a kind of a fun, make your own sandwich and finger foods and different stuff like that. It was definitely not the fanciest, but it's what I wanted. You know, I was like, it doesn't have to be like, I didn't want to be spending like $15 a plate, you know, or something like that. Cause food was just not high on the list for me. And there were other places I wanted to spend money instead. So that's what we did. There's obviously lots of people do lots of different things, and I think that I wanted to do like poutine, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically French fries and gravy and cheese curds. It's a Canadian thing, and I love it. I got vetoed by like several people, so we didn't end up doing that, but that's what I wanted to do. Probably best that we didn't, but you know. So talking about like important things, something that was really important to me was photography, because I knew those pictures, you know, like it's only one day, but those pictures we will have forever. So pictures were really, 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 really important to me. What was perfect is we have a family friend who we knew would do an amazing job. We love to work with him. It was like the best. Like that is like one of the best things about my wedding day was I was just so thrilled with my photographer. That is not always the case. And I've heard stories of people who had awful photography, like, you know, situations at their wedding. They either didn't love their pictures, they didn't get along with the photographer. Like there's so many things I've heard, just like horror stories. And so I'm so thankful. We went with Darren Kern. He lives local here. Capture One Photography is his business and the best. If you live in the area, like you have to use him. He is the best, hands down. So that was like a huge blessing that worked out. And he's done every wedding that I've been in, actually. Because we had my wedding, obviously, and then I was in my friend's wedding and my sister-in-law's wedding, and he was the photographer for them as well. So I worked with him for every wedding I've been in, and it is like absolutely the best. So would definitely recommend. Another thing we thought about budget-wise that people don't always think about to like add into your cost is the honeymoon. Because it's not your wedding, but it's going to be like a lot of money at the same time, unless you have like a honeymoon like later. Some people do that so that they have more time to like save up. But part of our budget was we wanted a lower budget wedding because we wanted our honeymoon to be able to be like longer. We ended up going to Cancun for 3 weeks, which is a long time. Mexico is pretty easy to do cheaply. Your flights are going to be the most expensive thing, followed by your lodging. So we always do Airbnbs. And if you're curious about learning more about like our honeymoon and our different stuff, we did record a video, Jesse and I did, about traveling in Mexico specifically and just ways to make it way cheaper and be able to stay for a long time with, you know, not a huge budget. And so if you're curious about that as well, I can send you that video. But we wanted like a larger honeymoon budget so we could stay longer. And so that was also part of our wedding budget. We did not have a huge budget. And if you would like to know what our budget was, like message me. I am like happy to share that because we did it really inexpensively. And I think just these days weddings, like people spend so much money and it's such like a huge industry right now that it's really easy to just spend so much and you just don't have to, and you can still have a really beautiful, wonderful wedding without costing you an arm and a leg. So I kept a notebook of everything in here, and I will say a couple things about that. One, I had all my to-do list stuff in here, all of my information. I kept detailed, like every single tiny like decoration, everything I bought individually got put in here. Part of that's because I was really curious budget-wise how things would come out. It was kind of an experiment. Also, I'm a very detailed-oriented person, so I was like, I wanted to know, you know, like the little stuff adds up. You'd be surprised, you know? It's like you go to the dollar store and you spend $40 and you're like, how did that happen? So I really loved that. Having everything organized, I'm an organizational person. And like when you're thinking of all of the things, you get kind of brain fried. So you need sometimes like the really simple things written down so you don't forget them all. And I will say, looking back, like having this is really special because there's stuff that you would just assume you would remember. And I was like looking through this before I did the video. There are so many things in here that I didn't remember, and it's so special to have this now and be able to keep it as like a memory as well. Another thing that you should just like plan on while planning a wedding that I did not expect was people will not RSVP. They just don't. I don't know why. It's really frustrating, especially if they're not planning on coming. They just won't RSVP and tell you. So you're like, like what numbers am I planning for? So plan on following up with people. Now, a lot of people will send out the like RSVP cards you send back with the invitation. We considered it, but invitations, envelopes, postage, like all of those things add up so quickly. Like it costs a couple $100 to send out just an invitation. And it would be a lot more if we had sent out the RSVPs, and like you're supposed to also send out the postage for that is like what you're supposed to do. So I was like, that's a lot. I'm just going to put a phone number. Please text me. So that is the ferret scratching in the back. He wants out. That's what that is. So, okay, hold up. I'm gonna go let him out real quick because he's just gonna keep doing that. All right, he's very demanding for the tiny thing that he is. So we did not send out the RSVP, like, send back things, and it was fine, but you just have to, like, follow up with people, because it's really hard to get, like, counts on stuff. Okay, one thing that was interesting that I looked into was tablecloths, because I was like, okay, tablecloths are expensive when you go to order them. I wanted floor length, so that costs more. So I looked into, do I buy a whole bunch of tablecloths for every table? Because, you have the food tables, you have the seating tables, you have the head tables and the gift tables. There's so much. And so I was like, is it going to be cheaper to buy or to rent? And for us, it was going to be way cheaper to buy. That might not always be the case depending on where you live, but I decided to buy them, and it worked out really well because I then was able to sell some of them to another friend when she got married. So I was able to give her a discount on it, but also get my money back. And then some of the curtains in our house are the teal tablecloths from our wedding. So that was also something really fun that my grandma and we made curtains out of my wedding tablecloths too, which is not normal, but it worked out really well because they're my favorite colors. The one thing I will say that is hard about buying your own is I got them on Amazon. So they were shipped in a box, folded to be this big. And they were very wrinkly, very wrinkly. We would put them in the dryer, which I was terrified of, right? I was like, how are they going to shrink? Like, you're not supposed to do that. I sat there and ironed them for hours and steamed them, like all the things. And it was really a chore. So that is the one thing I will say. Plan on getting that done in advance and folding them really lightly in a way that they really don't need much help later. But we did bring an iron to get out just whatever wrinkles were left over on the day when we were setting it all up. Or you can we set up the day before, so then you can kind of spray them with water and they can kind of dry a little bit as well. But that is definitely something I did not plan on being an issue. That definitely was. So next I'm going to talk about flowers, because people are always shocked when I say I did fake flowers, because when you think of fake flowers, they're cringy, weird colors. They're so obviously fake. They're ugly. I understand why people's response is what it is, but you should go look at my wedding pictures, because my flowers were one of my favorite things. We went to Hobby Lobby, me and a friend of mine. She had done the same thing. And I was like, can you please come with me and help me do flowers? Because I love what you did. And I want that too. So we were able to incorporate some of the wedding colors into it. Tons of greenery. My bouquet was huge. And it was amazing. It was great. And what was awesome is I went on a Hobby Lobby day where it was 50% off all fake florals. And so it could have been really expensive, but because we were smart about when we went, it wasn't. And it ended up being someplace that really saved me money, because real flowers would have been way more expensive. The other part that's nice about it is I put them together a month before we got married. Flowers can be a really stressful day of, because you obviously have to get them and then put them all together really close before and keep them in water so they don't wilt. I've been in weddings by, the end of the day. The flowers look real sad. And so that was just something that we didn't have to worry about, and was so nice to have done ahead of time. And it lasts forever. So now I have my bouquet. It will never, like, you know, get wilty because it's fake flowers. So I really loved doing that. Again, I got to like put my creative hand to something and make it my own. So my favorite part of the day, I have 3 favorite parts, which, you know, is a lot, but getting ready was super fun. Make sure you have plenty of time to get ready, especially for the girls, right? All the hair, all the makeup, all the everything. We ended up getting married in, I think it was like 2:00 in the afternoon or something like that. So we were still up early because you have to like do all the bridal pictures and everything like that. But we had time. I think it gave us like a couple hours to get ready so that we weren't rushed, which was so nice. Because obviously, like, that's not a day you want to rush. You want to look good, you know? So getting ready was one of my favorites. Pictures were also super fun. All the bridal party pictures just with my bridesmaids, individual pictures, and then with Jesse after the ceremony, like, that was all really fun. Something we thought about a lot was the first look pictures. So were we gonna do the like first look pictures before the ceremony and got our couples pictures done before that, so we didn't have to worry about it afterwards, or do the ceremony and do the pictures? It was really hard because most people these days will do their couples pictures before the ceremony, so they've actually already seen each other. I didn't really want to do that. That was a tradition I was like, I kind of want it to be like at the ceremony, right? When he's like the first look and stuff. So we ended up doing our ceremony. We did family pictures, followed by, then we sent everyone in to get started eating. And Jesse and I did our pictures together really quickly outside in some different places, and then went in. And then the line was clear. Everyone had already been through. So then we got our food and sat down. And so that worked out well, but I was concerned about it. So we decided to do it that way. And then another part of my favorite was the dancing. And we scheduled a long amount of time for dancing at the very end, because who doesn't love a dance party? We love dancing, especially. And so we had it at the end so that people could leave if they wanted to, like, after the first dance, so they didn't have to stay. But if you wanted to stay, there was plenty of dancing. So people did end up leaving sooner than we thought. Like, it cleared out kind of like an hour before we had given it. I don't remember. It was like 2.5 hours, I think, we put in as like dance time. And people danced for like an hour and a half, which is still a long time. And then started clearing out pretty quick. So then we did cut it down. But we just wanted to have that time as an option because that's one of our favorite things. Some things, like, because people will ask, like, what would you do differently if I'm doing an advice video, right? Like, that would be helpful. I honestly, there's not a lot I would change. I really loved everything about my wedding. One thing was, it was cold because we got married September 30th. And the beginning of September, like the first week, is really hot. It's really, really hot. And turns out the end of September is really not. So it literally like blizzarded the day before the wedding. There was snow on the ground. It ended up being fine the day of, but it was cold and people definitely were like cuddled up, and my bridesmaids to this day give me grief because I had them wear sandals and, you know, dresses that were summer dresses. So it was cold and I didn't care, but it was my wedding. Everyone else was cold. So that's something to think about if you're having an outdoor wedding. I really wanted it and I didn't care. I was like, we're going to push through it, but that's something to think about. We did have a technological issue, delay kind of situation. Hi, Ashley. Yeah, it was cold. It was cold, but thank you for being there. We had some technological issues where the ceremony, everyone like got seated and ready, and then there was like an issue, and so someone had to like run and grab something, like a speaker or a microphone, I can't remember, but it was something, and so we ended up getting like 30 minutes pushed from when the ceremony was supposed to start, so everyone had to go inside again and get warmed up, and then come back out and get seated again. And it really, like, hindsight was fine. Of course, it was stressful on the day because you're like, oh no, all these people are, you know, but it happens. It's life, right? So you gotta just like not sweat the small stuff. And so that was just something that you can't plan ahead for. It was totally whatever, and it was fine. Another thing I would do differently is the song that we walked out of, like after the ceremony and we walked down the aisle and then the bridesmaids walked down the aisle, was not long enough. And it was funny because it was an inside joke. I wanted to play the theme song of a favorite TV show, and it's a 30-second jingle at the beginning of the TV show. And so I was like, it's going to be a little short. The last couple people, there's not going to be music, but it'll be fine. What I didn't account for was the photographer wanted us to stop several times on the aisle, Jesse and I, as we were walking down, so he could get some shots of that. So the song ended up ending with just us going down the aisle before the bridesmaids and the groomsmen. So they all came down with no music at the end. It was fine. Hindsight would have added something else also. But again, like, didn't think through that that whatever until after the fact. So again, in hindsight, not that big of a deal. Like, probably people don't even remember that. But if you're going to nitpick the wedding, that is one thing that I would change. And my last thing that I would change is my hair looked good, but I got married before I started using Monat. And so, like, my best hair day for my wedding was not even as good as just my everyday hair now. And so that's kind of something I look back at pictures, and again, my hair's not bad in the pictures, but I know what it is now, and it's a lot better. So there's stuff where it's kind of like, like that's me, like being, specific about stuff, but having good hair is good on your wedding. And I had bought expensive salon grade, like curl, a hairspray and like a curl cream and stuff to like make my hair look perfect. And Monat, way better. Cannot even compare. So that is another thing. Invest in having good hair care and whatever, but that's just me. So okay, here's a tip. We registered on Amazon, and I don't know, like, we didn't look into other places. I know a lot of people will register, like, several places. So I just know about Amazon, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, whatever is not purchased during, like, your registry dates, you can pick one item off your registry that wasn't purchased that you get at, I believe, a 50% off discount, kind of as like a perk of using their registry system. So that was cool. We got to pick something that was like a big ticket item. I think it was like an $800 item, and we got it for like $400, because no one had purchased it. So that kind of was cool. Maybe look into different, registry, things like that. Because that was a pretty cool perk that we didn't even know of until after. And another thing, advice-wise, I didn't get my wedding dress till like 2 weeks before the wedding, which was not technically my fault, because I ordered a dress online and it ended up being like not good. I'm recording a video, just FYI.
Oh, okay.
So I ordered this dress online, and it was like gonna take weeks and weeks to get there, but it was still gonna be like, plenty before the wedding, so it was fine. It was from China, turns out, and it was so low quality. And the pictures of it were like beautiful. I loved it. And it was not that at all. It was horrible. And I kind of had a moment of like, does it matter? Like, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. I don't have to have the perfect dress. But then I was like, yeah, but like, I kind of hate it. So, no. I ended up returning it. I did lose some money, but it was whatever. It was, learn from my mistakes. Don't order. Make sure it's not coming from China. All of the things. There was like a, kind of like a decorative, like middle part right here. It was like off center. The dress just, it was like low quality materials. There was like the petticoat thing that like pushes the dress out to make it fuller. You could like see it through the dress. It was like, it was so bad. So bad. So then it was like the scramble of, oh no, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. I thought I had a dress and now I don't. So my mom and I went to Spokane. We spent the weekend looking at different bridal shops and different secondhand stores that were like higher end that had like some options. And there were some good options. I was like, I'm not gonna look at a secondhand store for a dress. Like, I've never seen cute wedding dresses at secondhand stores, but there were actually some options that were not terrible. You just gotta go to like bigger places. So I ended up like, it was like the first dress I tried on at the first place we went to that ended up being my dress, and I loved it. I wanted a halter top, which is hard to find. I wanted tulle for like the skirt part. Didn't end up finding that. I was like against like the satin look. I was like, I don't like that. Well, of course my dress ended up being satin and I loved it. The lady who was at the store, she was like, just try it on. You never know. And so I was like, oh, fine, I'll try it on, but like, I'm not gonna get this one. I put it on and I could not stop smiling. I felt like so stupid. I could not get the smile off my face. I was like, oh my goodness, this is exactly like it's the one, like, you just know, you know? And I was like, that's so cliche, but like, it was kind of pretty accurate. So we ended up going to other places and looking other places, and I just kept coming back and thinking about that first dress. So we had him hold it, and I got it for a really good deal, which was good because that was somewhere I didn't want to spend a lot of money. But I love my dress. I'm so happy with what I got. And so look beforehand, because it can be really stressful if you don't have a dress, because it's kind of important, like 2 weeks before your wedding. So, and be very careful about online, and only order if you have plenty of time to figure out if it doesn't work later. So, okay, just some last, oh my goodness. He just is climbing all over the place. This is why I don't have him out for videos. Some last advice tips I have is give yourself time. Like I said, with, you know, the 4 months is how long I have. It is what it is, you know, for whatever different situation, but don't make it so small of an amount of time that it becomes stressful and not fun. Because I loved wedding planning, and yes, there were parts of it that were like kind of stressful, like especially as it gets close, but I really tried to like remind myself to enjoy the process, because, you know, hopefully this is the only time you're gonna do it. And oh my goodness, he's making a mess. And so enjoy the process, because you will look back and you will miss that season. Like, I missed that season of being engaged. It was a really like special time, and I look back of it like so fondly. So like, enjoy it and take your time to like, just, you know, don't make it stressful. It doesn't have to be stressful. There are parts that are hard, but, you know, as much as you can. It's okay not to invite everyone. It is your day, and if you don't want to feed 200 people, you don't have to invite every single person you've met in your whole life, and it's fine. It's fine. And it's like, just don't, if you don't want to. Only have people there you want to be there. And the same goes for your wedding party. Like, you might have some friends that think they might be like bridesmaid status level, and if that's not who you want in your bridal party, or you want a smaller bridal party, like, it's okay to say no. Like, don't let people guilt trip into you making those decisions, because your wedding pictures, your wedding experience, like, that's gonna be with you forever. And you might have a friend that was like a really close friend at the time, but they might not be, you know, like really close anymore, and they might not be part of your life in the way that they used to be. So if you know, don't want them in your wedding, don't feel pressured. It's okay to not have like every single friend be in your bridesmaids. I was really, really lucky with my girls that I had. I had 4 and Jesse had 4, and it was really special. I love my bridesmaids. They're all huge pieces of my life still, and they were for a long time before as well. And there are some friends that I was really like kind of considering, but they're not really part of my life anymore. Like, we're still friends, but, you know, we don't talk that much and stuff. And so I'm really glad with who I picked. And that was something that was kind of a hard decision. But it's up to you, and don't let other people's opinions like dictate that. I'm almost done, I promise. Something I did that was really helpful was I had a vision for what I wanted. We got married at Bighorn, like I said, outside, and then the reception was inside in the lodge, which I knew exactly the layout, and so I knew exactly how I wanted to set everything up. And so before the day came that we had to set everything up, I made very detailed, like, this goes here, this is how I want this set up, all of those things for every different, like, all the different like tables that needed set it up and different things like that, so that I could just hand that off to someone and they knew exactly what to do. I made a couple copies of it because I couldn't do everything, and it would have come to me literally like telling people to do everything specifically, and that was made the setup day really easy because I just could hand off these pieces of paper. I had things boxed out so that different table stuff kind of went together, and that made it really easy. And another thing that I have friends who kind of struggle with this is the involvement of the groom. I really enjoyed the wedding planning. The guys don't always love it as much. They don't care about the details as much sometimes, and that is okay. And just don't get hurt by that. I wasn't. Like, Jesse was really great about helping. He was also working a lot, but I would like ask his opinions about stuff. I've had friends who have kind of been hurt because it doesn't seem like the groom is interested in planning the wedding, and they are. They just, you know, they don't care about every single little detail. And so just be aware of that, be okay with that, and be ready to like work through that and involve them in ways that they are interested, would be another piece of advice that I have. So that was kind of long, but hopefully helpful, or at least fun to watch. I really enjoyed sharing about it and talking about it. So if you have any questions, I love talking to people one-on-one about wedding planning because it's just really fun. So anyways, message me if you're interested in talking it out if you're getting married. But hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching.